Hello, everybody. Before episode 10 starts up, I just wanted to give you guys a couple links to some news bits that came out. Of course, episode 10 has already been shot because I was away at New York over the weekend. Just got home. Episode's coming out tomorrow, which is Tuesday. But before I release what we recorded, which is going to be our top 10 missions that we've reviewed over the course of Foundry Files, I did want to touch on that there has been some news during the week, and they will be provided in the show notes. Mostly it is the Ask Cryptic, and there is a little bit of Foundry news in there, so if you want to go read up on it, I have a link in the show notes to Kirk Fat's post here on Starbase CGC that has the Foundry news summed up there, so go ahead and check that out. Enjoy episode 10 and our top 10 missions of all time.
Hi.
Wait. Hold on. All right. Hello. Okay. Me. Hello and welcome to Foundry Files. My name is Admiral Murphy, and I am the host of Foundry. Oh wait, I have a co-host. Hi, that's Wee Wee. Hi. So this is episode 10, the Big 10. So it's our last episode of the year because next Tuesday is Christmas. So sorry, we're not putting out a show on Christmas. We want to open our presents. Yeah. And then the next Tuesday after that is New Year's. And we're kind of going to be tired because we're probably going to stay up. At least until it's bedtime. Oh, did I say that out loud, Wee Wee? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insinuate you had a bedtime. Whatever.
I can probably stay up a lot later than you, considering I'm 3 years older than you are.
Maybe. It's like the metric system. It's all hoopla and crap. Different numbers because, Britain's all like, let's be different. Oh, wait, that's America.
Yes, let's be different. That's why the entire universal time zone is centered around London.
Whatever, screw London. I don't like that place anyway. The only good thing about that country is they make Doctor Who, which is like my favorite show. Oh, the Christmas special's going to come up. You know what? That's why we're taking off Foundry Files on Christmas, because the Doctor Who Christmas special's coming out, and we're going to like party and watch it and stuff, because come on, the new companion is awesome. I love her right now.
And viewers, if you're wondering why Murphy is here, and also simultaneously in New York, it's because he both has a TARDIS and a DeLorean.
Yeah, I combine them. Like the TARDIS is kind of strapped to the back with the chain, and then when I have the DeLorean. Also, I have a machine that allows me to travel to alternate reality, so I met Mirror Murphy once. He was a dick. But anyway. Yeah, so this week we are just going to be covering our top 10 missions. So if you haven't played any of these, go play them, because they're on the top 10 list for a reason. They're good in some categories and stuff like that. So let's see what they are. Let's get into our top 10 review. Alright, it's time to talk about our top 10 Foundry missions of 2012. Now, if you go back through our past catalog, whether on Stoked or as our own podcast, you can find the full reviews for these missions. For this segment, we're just going to briefly talk about them, why we think they're up here, why they're good, stuff like that. And why don't we just get started? Mission 10, what is it, Wee Wee?
Rise of Darkness Part 2.
I have to be honest, I was not a fan of this mission, and I have to find something good to say about it. Okay, here's what was good about this mission. Rise of Darkness Part 2 is totally up here because of the technical stuff, and I think you can agree.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think every map in that mission, from memory, was awesome. Like, specifically built. Like, in Rise of Darkness Part 2, I know you'll walk through a damaged warp nacelle and stuff like that, go into Avoth's city ship.
Probably the highlight of the entire mission. The only problem with the fact is you only click one console and go away from it.
Yeah, that was like the whole. So when you play the mission with the warp nacelle, it's an awesome map. You could tell he took like days probably to build that thing. But all the map is for is to go hit a console at the far end. It's like, why didn't I just use somebody else, use a computer? The problem I had with this mission was it felt like it was just the gameplay at least was kind of tacked on. Like it was just to show off these cool maps and stuff like that. And my other problem with the gameplay was it was kind of boring, and there were bugs to it, whereas I almost couldn't complete it.
Mm.
My cat
Getting
just
stuck-
my
when
cat
your
just
boss
ran
stuck
up here.
through
What
the
the hell?
walls or something.
Yeah, you get stuck in the walls. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But the story was good too. I think people who like the Voth, they'll like this mission. I don't like the Voth. I never liked him in Star Trek, so maybe that's why I also didn't like this mission as much.
You only played it in one episode, so it's a good way to it's a good concept. to
Yeah.
Build a couple of missions around, but they haven't exactly been seen that much. So they're not exactly the most well-known species out there.
I know, like Gecko. He's been like, we should make a featured episode series with the Voth. I'm like, no, don't do it. There's other cool races out there. I don't like the Voth. But you know, this mission has some really cool technical stuff that you can check out. I think great. It's obviously on the list here because of the score sheet for a reason. I mean, the score sheet kind of goes beyond our personal opinions and just goes, what's the quality of this mission just overall compared to other ones. Number 11 I will mention here, though, because .01 points off of this one is Not Our War. That was a great mission. I loved it because the gameplay was awesome in that one, so check that one out as well. So it's technically now a top 11 missions of 2012.
If you remember last week, I commented on the fact that there's about a dozen missions either very close to each other or extremely next to. This is another example.
Yeah.
Not Our War didn't make it into the top 10 by .01 on our score sheet.
Yeah.
That's just how close it was to that spot.
Yeah, and this one scored 7.64, so really good. And hey, the score is just going to go up from here. Our next one scored 7.67. That is Temple of the Paw Wraiths.
Great mission, that.
I loved
I
that
love
mission
that.
so
I love that
much.
mission.
I played through it. It's funny because when our first mission review was Best of Both Worlds, this is by Captain Revo, and we didn't like that mission. We kind of trash it, which people are going to go, how could you trash it? It's on the top of the list. And we're just like, it's a good mission, but, you know, there's some stuff that could be improved. This mission, though, however, was like a great sequel to it because it was fun to play. There was some cool technical stuff. The story was really intriguing. The one part I really take away from this mission is why I really like it, was fighting in a simulated Deep Space Nine. That was fun. And it was...
Yeah, especially the trick where he implants the spheres and probes inside the actual things.
Just like Deep
themselves,
Space Nine
inside the
shooting back
pylons,
at
and
you.
It looks like it's firing at you. And
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah, so across the board, I think this mission's good. I don't remember having any issues with it, so go check that one out because it's fun. You should probably play the missions order, though. I think it's like a 5-part series now or something like that. I forget. I remember clicking on it when I was going through our list, and it was just like, oh, wow, there's like a whole series behind this now. So, hey, start at the beginning and just work your way through them if you really like the concept of this series. Next up, it's our only Cleon mission to make the list, so I'll let Wee Wee introduce it because he's the guy who's weird and likes Cleons.
This is called A New Breed of Warrior and scored a 7.79, which is drastically more than the two we've just mentioned.
Yep.
And overall, it's the highest scoring Klingon mission, as Murphy just implied there. And overall, it's a great Klingon mission that shows up some really good elements of exploration. I mean, this is the mission that we commented that
Yep.
is the one map, but you go to different systems.
I think that's why it's on the list.
It's the first time I've ever seen that, and it's just brilliant.
Yeah.
It's really very unique, and we've never seen that before. Absolutely great Klingon mission there.
Yeah, I remember the story being good in the mission. It wasn't amazing enough to make it on the top 10 list. But again, this is overall. Technical really scored high. I think that's what's brought it this high up onto the list. Because, again, no other mission has done this exploration type thing. This is unique to this Foundry mission, which a couple of... actually, our next mission that we cover has another unique technical twist to it that makes it stand out among the rest. But it's a great mission that shows off these elements of exploration, which you totally expect to find from a Federation mission. But no, it's in this Cleon mission. And it fits. I don't remember feeling like this isn't Cleon at all. I mean, it worked for this mission, and it was a fun one, so go check it out. Alright, number 7 here. Own Worst Enemy. This is a mission I'm glad to see on this list, because I'm a huge fanboy of the Mirror Universe, especially Mirror Hoshi. I love you, Hoshi. But it was a fun mission. This is another one with the technical side, where it had you facing your mirror self, like your mirror ship. That technical trick to get that to work was so awesome, and it's unique. You haven't seen it in another Foundry mission. And I talked to Rogue Enterprise once. I think I was on their one podcast, and I asked him how he did it, and he said, with a lot of work, because he had to place every ship mob with every ship costume into that map and then have them all trigger up multiple times throughout the mission. It took them so long to build that part. But the tech stuff is fun. The gameplay is awesome as well, along with the story. It's just a fun mission to play overall. It scored a 7.9. What did you think about this mission when we played it?
Probably one of the better missions I've actually seen because of that technical trick. And you're fighting yourself, and obviously, like you just mentioned, Rogue Enterprise said to you that it took a lot of work. I'm not surprised, because it basically shows every ship that the player has a possibility, up to the point that when we played it, the Odyssey hadn't been included yet.
No, because it wasn't in game when the mission was
it was fairly new at the time, and it's brilliant for that technical trick, and the gameplay elements, and the story's really good as well. So I agree with him. It's definitely one of the better missions on this list.
Yeah, so again, scored 7.9, so really good there. And with our next mission, we're going to start going up into the 8 category, with this mission scoring at 8.08, and that is Needs of the Few. This was a mission by Kirkfat, which was a nice non-combat mission. I think this is our only non-combat mission that made it this high up here. And I think it was just because the story was awesome. The technical stuff, because of the maps and all that, was really cool to see. And the non-combat gameplay aspect to this mission was fun as well, especially because it had alternate endings. Not just one. Like, you can either do this or this. It had like 4 choices right off the bat at the end of where you could do this, 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 or this. And then after that, you had 4 choices off that. So you could play this mission so many times and have different outcomes that it was really fun.
This was the mission that broke our score sheet.
Are we really going to mention that?
Yeah, it broke the gameplay. It's a brilliant mission, but it's one of the mission. It's probably the mission that we reviewed so far that's broke our score sheet the most. So actually, it's a really good mission, but yeah.
Fine, whatever. All right, then we've got here Rise of Darkness Part 1. This one I actually liked. It was a fun story with some cool maps, and it was an early mission that received a lot of buzz on Tribble. I remember Daniel Stahl going, "Hey, you guys should check this mission out on Tribble," and everybody checked it out. It was reviewed on Stoked, and it was pretty good then. I really enjoyed that one. Part 2 kind of fell for me, but Part 1 was really good.
Highlight of the mission: you go into the mess hall, and there's this giant.
That's what
side of the hull with the comet in the background.
Yes, I loved that. I don't know.
Can't describe how brilliant that was when it first came around.
I don't know why, but it reminds me of Star Trek: The Fallen. There's not a scene like that I remember, or maybe it's Elite Force. I think it's Elite Force. I don't know. There's some Star Trek game I've played where it kind of reminded me of a scene like that, where it was just like, whoa.
This was really the first mission that we saw that actually had a fully customized interior.
Yeah, I remember that too.
It was really one of the first ones we really saw, and that's just. I don't know if there was any more before that. If there was, brilliant. Mm-hmm. But this was the really major one that stood out in the crowd. That said, this is how to do a custom interior, and it really just segued for everybody in the future to actually do that.
Yeah,
brilliant thing.
And it was the first. It was one of the. I think this is an important mission to bring up because it was one of the first ones that got people to play Foundry missions because they played it and realized how good Foundry missions could be. They could totally stand above cryptic content or on par. And this one, I think, in a way, stood with cryptic content and maybe in some ways surpassed it, especially because we had never seen like a debris field like that where you saw this force field in the mess hall keeping everything inside the ship, because if that force field went whoosham, everybody's blown out, sucked out into space, whatever happens. But it scored an 8.14 here, so really good there as well. Mm-hmm. Our next one is the beginning of a series that we hope to complete reviews for in the future as the next part come out. We didn't review it that long ago. It's In the Shadows of Midas Part 1.
Now, if you guys recall, this mission was in the trailer contest between the Yonging, as Murphy puts it, and
you can bring that up every episode. It's I'm pretty sure it's been brought up half the episodes we've shot so far.
Let's see how I'm going to try and see how long it goes. But anyway, this was the other one besides the Longing for the trailer contest. It didn't make it as far as the trailer contest won it, but in terms of mission, it's fantastic. It's actually nearly on par with the top 3 missions, which we're about to view in a second.
Yeah.
But it's a brilliant mission overall with a great mystery and some fantastic gameplay.
Yeah,
combat and non-combat.
And this was another one that made me think of Star Trek: The Fallen, because there's like one mission that has an event that's kind of it's not story-wise similar, but it's kind of the tech-wise similar. And if you've played The Fallen and you remember the mission where you had to go to, I think it was like not AR 558. It's some planet where you had to go find Admiral Ross's ship or whatever. If you've played the game and remember that, there's this scene just like that in this mission, and I loved it because I loved that scene in the game. But it was fun. It had both combat and non-combat gameplay aspects that really raised this mission. I mean, the puzzle in that one was awesome. It actually felt like a puzzle you'd find in Cryptic's missions, where it's not just dialogue-based, but it's also kind of moving around, finding the stuff you need, and that was fun to see. It scored an 8.43, so really good there, and it makes me excited to see what's going to happen in the next part.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's our next one?
A trio, effectively. The first one of a trio. The second mission to come out by this author. City of the Pomari.
Oh, yeah. 8.55. Really great mission. I think this is my favorite one. This is if I had to make my top 10 Foundry list, I think this would hit number 1 because I loved it across the board. Even though I think it's not the best gameplay mission out there, but story and technical just soared so much. Well,
let's talk about the story arc effectively here. Not in terms of the missions, but in terms of Alamek's development over these missions. The first one we're going to talk about more detail in a second, but in this one, more development on the gameplay was achieved. Quite a bit more. Not as effectively used as the number one, which we're going to review in a bit as well.
Yeah.
But more effectively used. Fantastic technicals. A lot better than I've actually seen, even with the later missions. Probably the best technical mission I've ever seen in the Foundry of any mission I've ever played. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I don't think I think there is one mission I think that is a little higher on technical, and that's another one of Alamek's missions. But this had such a great story with it because there was so much touchstoning involved. There was so much newness to it because you have this city that exists outside our galaxy where this alien race invites everybody up to see this new technology and visit and learn about this culture. That was such a cool new idea that we hadn't seen in Star Trek before that I loved it. And it was touchstoning so much on past canon, like saying Admiral Archer was up there, and that's just cool to think about. And then you play through the mission, you get intrigued by what is going to happen throughout the series, and then boom, plot twist. And it's like, whoa.
Really,
that's what made sold into this mission on to me was the plot twist. And there was tons of cool technical stuff. I mean, when I think of the best map building in the game, this mission comes to mind because he built the city completely in the air, and you can't even tell that it's built on a ground map because it's so high up. You've got multiple levels to this thing, and you have to like walk down force field bridges and stuff to get around. It was cool to see. You can tell a lot of work was put into it. And if you talk to Alamek a little bit about how he built it, it's just cool listening to the ideas he came up with because, of course, you have these force field floors where he has NPCs walking around and stuff. And when you weren't anywhere in sight, he'd drop the force field so all those NPCs would fall, and he'd place new ones when the force field came back so it looked like they moved and stuff. That was something really cool to hear about, and it's a great mission. Out of any of the missions on this list, I'd say check this one out if you're a big story fan because it's definitely one you want to check out in the Foundry.
It's got an 8.55, which is extremely consistent to the 8.56, which is the very next mission.
Spirits of Amador! I love this mission. It was the first one Alamek released. It got tons of buzz, and I really enjoyed it, especially for the technical work, because this was the first mission that did like skipping transitions by like moving objects, creating rooms out of the air. This was the first mission I remember that actually did this, and it led to many authors trying to do that afterwards. Alamek was
another first. This was the very first mission we ever reviewed on Foundry Files.
That's true.
First one, and it's still up there.
Yeah, I mean number 2. That's pretty good. And just it was a different type of story as well. It wasn't like the basically go in and shoot them up bad guy stuff. It has something more that felt Star Trek-y, not like J.J. Abrams' movie E. By the way, go check out the movie if you like it. I'm pumped. I want to see it. I mean, I'm just gonna like it. Anyway, back to the mission. But I just loved some of the technical tricks. Like he has you beam out of Deep Space Nine at one point, and it's not a transition at all with the map. You do the transport effect, and your like ship appears around you, and the transporter room appears around you, and it's like, oh, that was cool. And it's stuff like that that you see in all of Alamek's missions from this point on after Spirits of Amador. That's just fun to see. And this is where the
first time that happened to me actually. I was in the temple, and I saw this transporter effect on my character. I'm like, what's happening here? I turn around, and almost I'm in the Federation interior, and it says I'm on the ship. I'm like, what?
That's awesome. But yeah, fun mission. Go check it out. And now for our number 1 mission of all time, the mains of Balnar Moon, also by Almac. So our top 3 missions are still by Almac, which is funny. Now, it's funny because this was the last mission we reviewed on Stoked, and it scored ridiculous, 8.96, almost a 9.
It's got a full 0.4 higher than Spirit of Ramic Nor and City of Pomare. I think
crazy.
I think that's like tied for our biggest gap compared to one of the low ones down end. For the biggest gap between 2 missions.
Now, why did it score so high? What happened?
Well, in Spirit of Ramic Nor, I'll go through it. Gameplay wasn't really up to par. He improved a bit in Pomare, but in Mins of Balnar Moon, that escalated wildly up the scale. I mean, wildly up the scale. The story and the technical improved a lot as well. And I was hoping this would actually reach a 9, but it didn't quite get to that.
Almost got there. I think for my score sheet, it surpassed 9. I was like, yeah! Then other members brought it down. Thanks. But it's still a great mission. I mean, I don't think the story's as good as City of Pomare. At least plot-wise. But it's still really good, and I think the characters are done brilliantly. The technical stuff is a lot better.
This is the highest technical scored mission here. 9.5.
Yeah. Because you get the cool station that you beam down to. That's awesome. You go through the multiple decks, cool tech tricks, triggers are used, stuff like that. It's just so fun. If you haven't played this, play it for that reason also alone.
And it's all one single map. The only reason Almac had to use zoning and transitions was because Foundry limitations.
Yep.
If those Foundry limitations weren't there, it would be one entire single map.
Yeah, and you can tell, like, when I did the demo record thing, like, there's a point where you're on top of the space station, not the space station, the research post that's on the ground, and you're on top walking around in the blizzard, and you find this, like, force field ramp or something that goes down, but it's force fielded off, so you can't get in. But she's like a cargo sled down there. 2 maps later, after you transition a few times, you're actually down below by that cargo sled, looking up, like, oh, that's the top of the station. And I think that sets the map, the location up so well, because you kind of like, oh, this is one big place, and I'm going back to places I've been to before. And on that same map, eventually, he lowers that force field so you can go back up to the top of the station, and it's just like, wow, this is really well done. It actually, I think this is the closest the Foundry missions has come to actually feeling like a cryptic map where they can pull stuff off like this. And the gameplay was fun too. I mean, the combat was awesome, the non-combat stuff. There was so much fun in this mission that I am actually quite happy to see that this is #1 here.
It well deserves its place here at #1.
I predict that this is still gonna, if we do another top 10 list, maybe halfway through next year, or next year at this time or something, I have a feeling it will still be up here, really high. These top 3 missions are gonna still remain on the top 10 list for quite a while.
I'm going to make a prediction right now. In 6 months' time, I'm predicting this thing will still be at the very top. Right? Hold me to that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if this is still there at 6 months' time, it will just show us how good of a mission this really is.
Here we go. I'm writing it down on the sticky note. Wrong, wee. Oh, this pen's dead. Screw it. I'll write it down later. But anyway, that's our top 10 list. So we will see you back next year. What's the date? Let me check. We will be back. Stalling for time. It looks like January the 8th. Hey, that's getting close to my birthday. Oh, mine's on a Saturday.
It's going to be a new year, filled with new ideas.
And tons of new missions. Stay tuned, because what we plan on reviewing when we get back then is going to be awesome. It will be our first full coverage of a Foundry series. Which one? You'll have to find. It's mine. No, I'm just kidding. It will be a cool, fun one. And I'm pretty sure this will be a great one to talk about across the board, because we've already played through all of it, and we both loved it. I think it's my favorite Foundry series I've played, so we'll see you back next year in 2013.
What the hell was that?
I hear anything.
What? Murph, it's the end of the world.
No, we have an episode to shoot. What?
No!
Hello? He froze again. He always freezes. What a douche. Internet connection problem. Way to